Hello everybody and welcome back to Imperator, where I have been doing a little bit of I wouldn't call it a deep dive into the city versus settlements versus metropolis mechanics, but I've done a little bit of exploration there and I'd like to show off some of the results that I found. First thing I want to do is I think that I'm thinking about canceling this barracks. I don't know that for a fact. I'm thinking about it. We'll see, I guess, how that ends up. Now, the second thing I was doing, I was looking at the buildings available for settlements. And, of course, this is in farmland, so note, of course, that there's +5 local monthly food that comes in here. Now, I believe that this +5 local monthly food is modified by the local monthly food modifier. I believe it is. And, of course, we also get local monthly food from this grain. So this is going to be very powerful in terms of food production. And in fact, as far as I can tell, not having looked at every single terrain type that there is, and not having looked at every single trade good that there is, as far as I can tell, having a farming settlement here is as good as possible for getting food out of this province. That may not be correct. There may be technologies that change this. There may be options available in metropolises. As of right now, based on our current location, this appears to be as efficient as possible for getting food. However, I have a question. I was looking at this province here, and of course this province outputs base metals. So I'm like, okay, we should probably build a mine here, right? But why, though? It gives 5% local civilization level, -5 slaves needed for local surplus, and -25% pop migration speed. Okay. This is also in hills, which gives +3 local monthly food. But when we look at the mine here, and then we look at the farming settlement, they cost exactly the same amount. They do require a food-producing trade good. Okay, never mind. I'm a moron then. I missed that one. I did miss this requirement. But I was going to say, in what universe would we build a mine here when we could build a farming settlement? We can't, because it doesn't have a food-producing trade good. But a farming settlement is just better than a mine, because it does exactly the same things, while also increasing the local monthly food modifier. So I think that they need to buff the production of this base metals for mine. I think that mine is a little bit underpowered currently, is my current theory there. So that needs some adjustment. Now, I don't think there's ever a good reason to, in a settlement... Let me adjust that. There are good reasons to do this. I don't think that there is usually a good reason to build something like a barracks, or... There's okay reasons to build ports, I suppose, if you want to do some ship recruitment. If you just want some population capacity, which that's one of the few ways that there are to increase population capacity in settlements, sure, that's a thing that you could do. Slave estates are a very, very good thing to build. And here's the question. Here is the question. Why would we ever build a mine when we could build a slave estate? The same local civilization level, the same pop migration speed reduction, there's the same monthly food modifier actually for farming settlements. The only thing that this does not have is it doesn't have the slaves needed for local surplus reduction. But it does have +30% local slave output. Now, slaves, they don't have the best output, in all honesty. If we look at the slaves here, we can get in here and we can see, yeah, they have an output of a small amount of base tax, and they produce some, or they consume some monthly food. Now, I'm not sure if that slave output actually increases this base metal on a fractional level or not. That is something that we should definitely check here. Production of all pops in a territory, right. So this is something I've never really understood in Imperator, is will slave output actually affect this? Every 15 slave pops will provide an additional +1 base metals. Of course, base metals is referring to not the base value of the metals. It's referring to the fact that they are base metals. Copper, tin, and lead. But is that a fractional thing? I don't believe that it is. In which case, the slave output here is only producing a small amount of taxes, right? That does allow us to grab the food modifier, though, without building a farming settlement. So if we don't care about the trade good output, the slave output specifically, if we don't care about the slaves needed for local surplus, then we should build slave estates. So, like, for example, if we were here. We don't care about stone output. We really, really don't. Sure, build cost reduction. That's not all that relevant. Sure, it helps, but you're probably going to have it anyway, if we're honest. So in this case, I'd probably build a slave estate for that food modifier, as well as the slave output. You could potentially... You can't put in a farming settlement, obviously. You could theoretically put in a mine. I don't think there's a good reason for that if you don't care about getting an extra trade good out of here. Now, with the farm or the population capacity of settlements, you're only ever going to get +2 of any resource. So the question then becomes, do we ever care about that slaves needed for local surplus? Now that is a good question. Our limit here is currently 17. Now, some of that will increase due to civilization value, civic advances, things like that. Later in the game, it might make a difference. That slaves needed for local surplus. We might be able to get an additional stone out of here for 3. That would, of course, require a total of, let's see here, 34 and then... what would that be? 51 slaves? No. I think I did that wrong. Yes. Yes, I did that correctly. 51 slaves. You'd have to have a population of 51 in here. And, of course, due to the desired ratios, all of those would have to be slaves. Now, the current desired ratio is 66% here. So that is noted. Absolutely fascinating. So your civilization value increases it by 6%. So our civilization value is 24 currently. What is the max civilization value? The overall, I think, is 100%. So that means that for every 3% civilization value, we get 1% population capacity, right? So that means that in total, we're going to get, assuming that we round down here, we're going to get 33 population capacity. So that is a base of 15, including the base plus settlement. So I'm going to pull up a calculator here. So that's a total of 15. And let me pop over into display capture so you can see the calculator here. So we've got 15 total. And then that's going to be multiplied by 1.33. We're assuming rounding down. So that is then about 20 is the population capacity. Assuming I'm calculating that correctly. I may not be. It may be a little higher than that. And there's civic advances in there too. We're not figuring those in for right now. Okay, so with that being the case, let me pop back to game capture mode. With that being the case, the question then becomes, do we ever care about that slaves needed for local surplus? Everything else is literally the same, but we do get additional slave tax output increases of 30% here. We would need, at the very least, 34 slaves here in order to get an additional an additional trade good out of that. Let's pop over to the technologies, which I can never remember which one of these tabs is the technologies. It is this one. Okay, I'm assuming this will be in civic advances. So let's look around through here. Unintegrated culture, happiness, national slave output, sure, pop migration speed, freeman output. I'm just looking for population increases. That's what I'm really looking for. Citizen output, Freeman output, yeah. That's completely fine. This is all pretty much output. This doesn't have much to do currently with population. Okay, maybe it's over in another tree here. Global settlement building slots +1. Ah. Now that's interesting. Now that's very, very interesting. Global city building slots +2. Monthly food modifier, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. That is certainly very, very interesting. Capital import, national tax. Free province investment, that's always nice. Build cost reduction, blah, blah, blah. National tax. I'm mostly looking for population increases, though. Population capacity of +10% there. Okay. That's fine. What else? Just the 10%? 15 here. Okay, so a total of 25%. Okay. So we will do 1.33 plus 0.25. That's 1.58 multiplied by the 15 base means 23.7. And of course, we would need 10 with that reduction. So that does mean that we could theoretically get to +3 of the resource. Okay. That's fine. So that only matters, of course, if we care about the resource in question. Which mostly I don't. Mostly I'm of the impression that we're going to have enough. The major exception to that is food, which I do still want to build farming settlements in with that information. That's wonderful. I do want to cancel this barracks. Can we cancel that? Yes, we can. Wonderful. So we should, in fact, build a slave estate in each of these locations. However, we need to consider when we want to turn them into cities as well. Now, that's very expensive. And that's okay. The major thing with cities is that if you don't care about the trade good, they're just better. Now, you're still going to get the trade good, right? You just can't improve it quite as much without a big building slot investment through things like mills to get that slave desired ratio. But, and in fact, also, is there a way to get a reduction? Slaves needed for local surplus -4. Foundries. Okay, yeah. So foundries and mills would do the trick there. Again, though, that's not quite as good. It's -4, and we're limited to 1 in any given territory. So that's okay. That's fine. It's not quite as good as a settlement. But it can probably scale higher into the mid and late game, is my guess. Especially as we switch over to metropolises, in theory. However, food is a concern. There's no doubt about that. So we're going to go ahead and build a farming settlement over here in Matar instead. Farming settlements in any sort of farmland is absolutely what we want. I'd love to tear down that port. That is something that we will do later, once we have some cash. Okay, so there's that done. Now I do want to talk briefly about aqueducts and why I don't like them. So, aqueducts take a building slot, right? They take a building slot, which takes 10 population to unlock. And there's a few other ways to unlock them. You can invest in religious endowments. There are technologies for it. There's a few other ways. But overall, they give 8 population for a slot that you need 10 population to unlock. They're housing negative, as I would put it in Stellaris. And unlike Stellaris, we don't have districts to compensate for that in this game. So generally speaking, I would prefer to enlarge our cities via infrastructure spending, which is expensive. Don't get me wrong. That's 80 political power. That's a lot. But I would prefer to enlarge it via infrastructure spending, which affects the entire province, as well as technologies which affect us globally, as opposed to aqueducts. Now, we can't destroy these right now, and I'm not interested in destroying them right now. What I am interested in doing is taking out that fortress. And you know how I just said I don't like aqueducts? We're going to build an aqueduct. The reason for that is because we're currently at 69 out of 70 population capacity, and we need to work on this. We're not in a position right now where we can get away from these. Hopefully, later on, we'll be able to. I don't think they're a particularly good use of the building slot. We'll see how I feel later on once we have access to more ways to get population capacity. So that's what I spent my morning thinking about. Excellent. So, we are still working on our diplomacy up over here, and I'm going to go ahead and unpause. We need to get our Senate support up, and I would love to figure out ways to do that. Now, we could advocate for legal reforms here, and the oligarchs are still sufficiently powerful that I don't think that this is useful. 46 and 27 and 27. So if we boost this, we'd gain 10 approval from Democrats, but it's basically a wash, I think, in terms of support in the Senate. I'd have to calculate it out, but that's my sense, is that that is a wash. I mean, we could just click it and see what happens, but I think it's a wash. So we're going to leave that be as it is for now. This is ticking up slowly. Monthly approval for Democrats is coming up. Traditionalists is going down a little bit, but not very much at all. And oligarchs are also coming up. So that is great. Now, we also need to work on our own popularity for our missions. And we're currently siphoning funds. Let's not do that, and instead we can sponsor games to get our popularity up. We're only going to have to sponsor games for about 4 months. And I wouldn't mind doing this in, say, our capital. I mean, we probably shouldn't do it here because this is already fully loyal, but I don't think we have any real loyalty issues right now. So we're just going to leave that as is, and we'll grab that sweet, sweet monthly popularity. And there we go, 0.41 each month. That is wonderful. So once that comes up, then we will be able to run this, not this one, the Soldier from the Revolution here. We'll need to have 50 gold and population equal to 50. Both of those will be pretty easy. Excellent land management. We've received happy news from the province of Sitafencia, where local officials report consistently abundant harvests after experimenting with new methods of land management. Leaving them to their work will no doubt swell the food stores of the province, but the managers and their practices might be more useful distributed across the farmlands of Carthage. So 10% local food modifier, they gain some loyalty. That's not too bad. New standard practices. So 60 months worth of plus 10% global monthly food for 28 gold. They gain some loyalty. Or they'd lose loyalty and we'd gain the 5% food modifier. Honestly, we're not doing poorly on food right now. I don't want to spend money on this and I don't want to lose loyalty, so we will just have them be a cornucopia for right now. That decision will be different later, for sure. Excellent. So we definitely want to continue increasing our support in the Senate, and I'd like to do... Who is this guy? Ruler of our subject. Okay, he's offering us friendship. Or we could gain popularity. But we're going to take the friendship. We're going to get the popularity up easily enough. Just through sponsoring games. Should be absolutely fine. Okay, we have our CB on these guys over here. We can't declare without getting some tyranny, but do we care? How much tyranny is this? I want to talk to the diplomacy here. Declare war on this guy. Yeah, we want to take this. 2.7 tyranny. I think that's acceptable. That's only, what, like 8 months worth of having some level of tyranny? We'll take some aggressive expansion, I'm sure. call in all of our ridiculous number of allies. Yes, we'll take the tyranny. I don't mind that. I would rather get this war underway than wait on the support in the Senate. Yes, we have low naval maintenance. That's okay. Now, I do want to raise up just the levies over here. Can we do it from this screen? That would be very nice if we could. I don't see any way to raise the provincial levies from here. I would really, really like it if that was available. So we'd have to do that from the military screen, and we're looking for Sardinia Australis. And so we have to manually go through this list. Okay, this is actually from larger subsections. Can we have him raise the levies? No? Okay. Noted. So, how do we know where these levies are going to raise? From Magna Graecia, from Africa, from Italia, from Mauritania, from Numidia, and from Baetica. Where is Baetica? Okay, we need a regional map mode, clearly. Or we could just do this. Okay, so we can see here that this is off over this way. That's fine. This is a very clunky way to do this, though, if I'm honest. Without being super familiar with these regions, I think we'd want to do it from Italia. I mean, we have some holdings over here, but I think this is the closest to Italia that we've got, so we'll go ahead and raise these levies. And where did they raise? Oh, that's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. So we're going to take them up over here, and we're going to see how many troops these guys get. This will be interesting. Oh, these guys attacked as well. I should have thought of that. That is definitely something I should have thought of. They have 2,500. That's okay. We can always raise up troops in Magna Graecia as well, and I think we will go ahead and... Why is this scrolling? That's interesting. I have no idea why this is scrolling down. Okay, now it's not. I guess that was a bug. Okay. We'll go ahead and raise these levies as well. And we will tell these guys... Can we just move up here? Do we need transport ships? We may need transport ships to do this. Looks like we do. Okay, so we have low naval maintenance, but that's okay. These guys, they have... Where do we see? Yeah, that's their fleet strength. I'm looking for how many troops this fleet would be able to transport. These are both pretty much identical. Unit lacks access. What? Oh, okay. There we go. So I'm guessing we'll have to attach these. Oh, yeah. We have to attach that to our fleet. So if it's like the original Imperator at all, each one of those is going to be able to transport one unit. Okay, so we've made our way to here. They're currently leaving. That's fine. I don't mind this. We're going to fight them, and very likely that we will win. Indeed we did. Perfect. We stack wiped them. So now these guys are going to come back and try to stop us from sieging, and yeah, they occupied this. We don't care. That is irrelevant. We're now going to go ahead and embark. And we're going to land these guys. Let's see here. We have a port over here, so I guess that's where we're going to have to land. That's okay. They're going to try to stop us from doing whatever it is we're doing. I mean, we're sieging. That's what we're doing. Okay, they have multiple units on their way down. That's fine. We should still be able to win this. Especially if we get there, you know, anytime in a timely manner. We don't. That's okay. They're actually going to take this. They didn't actually... Oh, they did occupy it. So are we able to get in there? Yes, but it's very likely that we'll lose, and so we will hold off on that for right now. I'm just wondering... Okay. Interesting. Very, very interesting. We could come up here and attack, but we lack access, apparently. Yeah, we lack access over here as well. So we're cut off right now because they've secured the ports. Fair enough. I'm okay with this. This is good knowledge to have. They've secured this up here apparently as well. Can we land up here? No, but can we land here? We actually could, and we're going to go do that. They're just kind of wandering around over here, and I like this. This is a wonderful situation. I mean, except for the fact that they sacked this, of course. That's not so wonderful. Okay. So we're going to land up over here. And these guys are hired, aren't they? No, we would recruit them. Okay, fine. We're going to come down here, and we're going to take this territory back. There's low food supply in Corsica. I mean, we expect that. We're being occupied. Is there a station besiegers thing here? That would be nice if there was. Detach enough cohorts to siege or occupy this territory. Yes. Okay. Oh, they're actually going to walk in on us? That's fine. No, they're not going to. They're absolutely not going to. Understandable. I wouldn't want to if I was them either. Now they're going to. Or they're not going to. They were thinking about it. This is suicidal for them. Okay, this is less suicidal. We're starting to have our allies show up now, though. It's unclear which side will win here. That's fine, though. We've managed to get our allies up here, so that's wonderful. We're actually wrecking this. Okay, fantastic. We'll stack wipe this group. Kaboom. Okay, we'll take all of this back. No worries now. This is all within the same state. Although I wouldn't necessarily mind attacking over here, since we do have something here, apparently. But these are auto-taking back, currently. And this one doesn't seem to be. Yeah, some of them are, some of them aren't. That's fine. Completely okay with this. But let's wrap this war up. We're currently at minus 12, which is a little shocking to me, but we need to take this back. And we will quite soon. Okay, we're going to come over here. This is now taking these back, because apparently they were within that zone of control. Fine. We've won this siege. We're now at 5% war score. And let's make our way up over to here and win that siege. Grab this zone of control out of here. Excellent. Looks like these guys are taking this back. Perfect. Our allies are on the job. We're at 38% war score. Get up here. Stop them. I don't want them to have that. We're now at 39% war score. They don't want to fight us. I don't blame them, but I want to fight them. Okay. We killed additional enemy troops. That is perfect. Yeah, they definitely don't want to fight us. Okay. There's some people doing some plundering. Our side might lose this. We'll see. I'm okay with it if we do. Let's see how this battle goes. Oh, we're wrecking them. We're not going to lose this. Perfect. So we're at 46 war score right now. And the question is this enough? If we were to do this, we would want to take, honestly, both of these. But we don't have that occupied yet, so we're going to occupy that for sure. At any rate, it is past time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we will finish conquering Sardinia. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.